American household debt hit a record $16.9 trillion at the end of 2022, up $2.75 trillion since 2019. According to the Federal Reserve, being stuck in debt trap can prevent you from retiring early and can also damage your work, health, and relationships. Colin Evans from Evans Financial Group is here to help get us out of debt ASAP. Colin, let's go.
It is, and that it becomes a hamster wheel almost for people, and it's almost looks like a never-ending cycle that it's very, very difficult to get out of. And we put together a couple things, and one of the first thing we've discussed this time and time again is what we want to hammer down to starting that point of getting out of debt is you have got to create a budget, and you've got to be able to stick to it. You really need to know what you have coming in versus what you have going out.
And that is your number one, right, Colin?
That it is, and you're kind of having to look at this and go, do I need to cut some unnecessary expenses? Am I overkilling it too much having the Starbucks in the morning when I can make that cup of coffee at the house? That's just something that's it's a quick one that comes to mind. That's a quick outflow when this is a $7 latte versus $1.50 at the home. Those numbers add up really, really quick.
Colin, is that what you see the most when you actually advise people when they're bringing in their budgets? Is food generally the number one thing on there that people spend the most money on?
It can be. We start seeing it when it really comes into play is we become kind of a slave to the credit card. And the credit card is what we really start to see. And one of the proven ways, and this is the fastest trick on how to get rid and eliminate those debts quickly, you have to put all the interest rates aside. I know and today we see interest rates on credit cards 25, 26, 27%. They're just astronomical. But what we suggest people do is list out their debts from the highest all the way down to the lowest. And the structure is
highest of the account balance
highest account balance.
Okay.
Put interest rates off to the side, and take those account balances up from your highest one down to your lowest one. All but the lowest one, everything else gets the minimum payment. Because sometimes people get in the habit of, oh, I owe more on this one, so let me throw a little bit extra over to this credit card or this company. And putting all of those extras on the very minimum one, on the lowest number, you can actually start a laddering, and it starts becoming a ratchet effect. And you knock that first one out, and you go, hey, now I got a little motivation because I just saw this first one get eliminated.
Confidence.
And then we take those funds and we allocate them to the next highest debt. And we just kind of move that up the ladder as we start knocking these debt numbers out. And that is one of the fastest ways to do that and get out of debt in a true fashion. But again, that goes into that creating that budget and really sticking to it and cutting out some of those unnecessary expenses. One of the quick flip sides of that is it possible to increase your income? Have I been at my job long enough to where I can go, hey, how about a review time? Maybe is it time that I could get a little bit of a bump in pay? Or looking around the house and we find those unused items. I have a fun time. I love
your panini maker.
Yes,
right?
Yes, we discussed that. Yes.
I was going to say, if your boss says no, we're not going to.
I love finding random.
What do we do next?
I love finding random things in the house. Be like, what? I haven't used that in a year. Let's drop that on eBay or put that on Craigslist. That's just something that you can throw out there and it puts in extra cash. We'll pay attention too to, is it bonus time or tax return time? Those are good times when those funds can come in and say, hey, this might be a good idea that I can actually eliminate some of these debt numbers and be able to push this off and get that animal off your back.
Right. Colin, carrying a lot of debt really weighs down your credit score as well.
It really can, because they start looking at how much do you have leveraged on that credit card or those credit amounts based on those approvals, and they're varying that across the board, saying, once you start really going beyond about a third of what your credit line is when that can really start affecting and dropping those credit scores. So that's when it can become an issue in there when it comes time to purchase a car, purchase a home, and that might affect the credit rating that you're going to get or the interest rate that the lender is going to give you for that. That's just one of those things you got to put into play.
So Colin, how do people get in contact with you? So if they're watching this and they're saying, hey, I need to create a budget. I know it sounds easy, but it's actually complicated for, a lot of people that say like, what goes into this? What should we be saving? What should be cutting? And being able to talk to somebody like you might be able to, help them feel confident in actually creating a budget. You're talking about us sticking to it. How long should we be sticking to this budget at a minimum?
Well, at a minimum, what we kind of do is we kind of put a framework around it when we kind of look at that laddering and that ratcheting of trying to, here's our strategy of getting out of debt. You can actually tag that into how many months this is going to take based on current income of what's coming in. And that actually really kind of gives a visualization for people to say, okay, now I can actually foresee me getting out of debt. And now that I have a structure and a plan on how to do this.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Colin, for talking to us today about how to get rid of our debt and the emotional burden that actually can go with that.
It is.
as well.
It can be a big emotional burden. Thanks for having us again.
Yeah.